We're back with Therapy is Dope with Alicia and Laura, and today we have Veronica Moya, and she's an expert in mindfulness. So I'm really excited to jump into that. But is it specifically with kids?
Right.
Yes,
Yes,
okay.
I'm a children's wellness expert or children's wellness or mindfulness. That's how I like to say it.
Okay, that works. So tell us how you
Yes.
got into all of that.
So, well, yeah, I did work with adults at some point originally, and I switched to kids pretty quickly. Um, yeah, it was, you know, how things happen. It was an easy transition. You know, I'm very impatient person. I'm very, yeah, anyway, I used to work with adults originally. That's how it started. And I would get annoyed and upset at how hard it was for adults. We were talking before, you know, some people get into it, others don't. So I used to do readings for people as counseling, right? Trying to bring answers to their questions and ease their pain and show them where, you know, because I do believe we create our reality, we create everything that happens. So if you are on board with that, and if you agree with me that you're the creator, then of course you are able to create better things. So my job as a reader, I thought, was to guide them and help them make those changes or go in that direction. And what I got from adults was like, oh, no. It just fell to me. It was heartbreaking. And it got from heartbreaking, it was very draining. And then it just was annoying. And I just felt like, what's the point? What am I doing here? And of course, so at this point, I'm working at, I don't know if you know the Edgar Cayce Center. Edgar Cayce was a very famous the sleeping prophet. So that's where I was working. So I had all of my friends and colleagues, everybody's doing readings and Reiki, and you know, we all do all this type of thing and meditations. And so I
Wait,
figured the
how did you
adults,
get to the, I'm sorry, now I have to go back a second because how did you get to the Edward Casey? Like, did you already have skills and you were like, oh, this is where I need to go?
sure. Well, another knowing of mine is that we are all psychic. We all have these skills. We come with them. And we were talking before how kids specifically, especially, they have it very heightened until it gets watered down and it gets, you know, junked out of us or them, or, you know, as we grow older, because you learn how to live in a society and how to operate from your rational mind. This makes no sense. This does make sense. And then you start listening to your intellect more than your intuition. And that's what I'm trying to reverse. You know, that's what my work today is all about. So for me, as a child, I was precocious, I guess, and I always knew I had this inner knowing. At the age of about 7, I had this epiphany that I was creating, and everything will work out for me. And I remember because when I was young, 5, 6 years old, I didn't want to be here. If you know the other side,
Mm.
being here is very, very, very difficult. It's very challenging. The whole point of being here is to have the human experience. And as a human person, there are a lot of challenges. And I wanted to go back, and I wanted to go back very much so. And finally, I suppose one day I just gave up. You know, I used to get sick a lot. I used to have asthma attacks. They had to rush me to the emergency room and give me a shot. And then I think when I was 6, I spent the entire summer, my summer break in bed with pneumonia. And the doctor said, you know, if you don't behave, we put you in the hospital, it'll be even worse. Anyway, so I think something says, all right, I'll give up, forget it, I'm going to be here. And I think I was about 7, and I vividly remember making this deal between me and the other side. Well, if I'm going to be here, it's going to be good. It's
Ah,
going to be smooth, and my life will be enjoyable. Not, or maybe, I don't know if I made that decision or I got that vision or that message or something. but I had the certainty in my heart that I will be okay. So don't worry about it. It's it's going to be good. It's going to be a nice experience, a good journey. And that has accompanied me my whole life. And basically, this is what started my work, right? I want to share that with other people, help them see the truth, that we get caught up. Our minds, our brains are our worst enemies many times. And I know that. I am from Argentina originally. We are very self-deprecating. We are very harsh on ourselves, and I am, and my family is, we're very critical. And to overcome that self-criticism, you need this. You need to learn how to go within and connect with source, with your essence, with your truth, which is always beautiful and easy and just smooth and easy sailing. But you have to be at that vibration, right? You have to achieve that place. You don't get there by force. You don't get there by will. You get there by learning to listen to it and surrender. And
Yeah.
that has been a theme in my life. When I came to New York originally, I came to be on Broadway. I wanted to do musical theater. And it didn't, long short, it didn't work out. I mean, I got a few jobs here and there. It's just so by being present and putting one foot in front of the other, I just follow where life was taking me. One day I'm waiting for an audition and I'm sitting waiting and they had a wisdom magazine. I opened it up and they had a class at the Edgar Casey Center of Develop Your Intuition. So
Ah.
I took the class and it just mushroomed. It was one class and it was in, like magic, right? So I took one class, I connected with the teachers and the directors and other people. And then from that, then I took another class and I did a tarot class. But before you knew it, I was teaching classes and I was leading meditations. And
I gotta
because
chime in here for a second. The way I learned about Edward Casey was actually my partner's dad. He was telling me all about this guy, and at the time I thought he sounded kind of crazy, and he can be a little crazy sometimes. So I was like, oh, he's just, being Peppo. That's what we call him. And then I started learning more about consciousness, and me and Laura got into like the telepathy tapes and all of that stuff. And in the telepathy tapes, there was a kid who had basically the same gift as Edward Casey, where he could just like go to sleep and absorb all this information about a book or whatever. Like nobody ever read it to him, but he all of a sudden knew all this information about it, which was the same thing that Edward Casey had going on. And you called him the sleeping prophet.
Mm.
So that's so crazy that you just stumbled upon it and
right,
How it works, right?
yeah,
Universe
right,
just drops random hints and you randomly look at something, you pick it up and like it just clicks in a way you can't really put language to. And actually that was one of the questions I was going to ask you because you were talking about how like we are kind of deconditioned away from our intuition into our analytical mind, right? And one of the values of mindfulness is it is a reconnection to your essence, to your truth. So for a lot of our listeners, they are in that deconditioned to analytical space. So how do you help people understand what is their truth and what is a fabrication of truth manifested by the analytical mind?
great question.
Hmm.
So that's not something you can explain or teach. And that's what we were talking about right before we started. The issue with this stuff is that it's an experiential activity.
Mm.
You cannot tell someone, I mean, I know they do, they have classes, right? And I think they have mediumship classes and they have and now they give you like a diploma or something. I find it so hilarious, but that's okay. This is how people make money. That's good. All right. the actuality of it is, so when I go to a classroom and nobody knows me, right? And I have 60 kids, 20, whatever, 20 kids, whatever it is. So I present the activity. I usually play music. I usually do like a guided meditation. And those who do it, who choose to close their eyes, take a deep breath, exhale, they are automatically, instantly, easily transported to their truth, to their essence. So it is not something I have to explain or show, or now the challenge comes in everyday life, right? And here's me, I'm very honest. I'll tell you, so I live in New York City, 25 years. I was in Columbus Circle. I always tell this story because I think it's so good. Sorry, because I turned it off. So I take the subway, and there's two subways. There's always a fast one, express one, and the one that goes locally. This is a great story because it happened to be so many times, and I fancy myself a very intuitive, very connected person. So this is just to tell you how this is life. This is how we are. That's the problem. This is what we are dealing with. So I'll be in the subway thing, waiting for the subway to come, and so the two of the subways come in, the A and the C. One is local, the other one is fast. So my body, like my knee-jerk reaction is taking me to the local train. And immediately I stopped myself, said, dumb, stupid, no, what are you doing? Go to the A train. You're gonna get there faster. Logic, of course. Ugh. I was like, oh, I'm daydreaming. When you're waiting, of course, you know what's going to happen, right? So I go in the A train, I go in the fast train. Of course, the train's going to stop and we're going to be stuck in some place for 5 minutes, or maybe not even leave the station. The other one goes and we're still there for some problem. And this didn't just happen once. It happened, I always notice when I do that. So the challenge comes. How do you recognize it, or how do you know? That's easy. Intuition is always there. It's always guiding you. It's always showing you. Um, but the challenge is for us to be able to quiet the ego, the force, the intellect, the I know, I got it. I already am so smart. That part of your brain that's constantly overworking, and know and trust your other side, your other part, to guide you and be able to do, things in life.
Mm.
So that's the reason why I work exclusively with children today, because I had tons of colleagues and people that work with adults, and you're going now to a seminar, and there's lots of people who are doing that. But the issue is that by the time we hit 30, we are already, we, we, we lost it, kind of. I don't like to say lost, but
It's
it's
harder to find, I think.
hard. It is. Yes, we're already there. I mean, like you said, it's woo-woo. It's such taboo. And we are the only species in the universe that do this. If you see the animals, instinctively, they know where to go. They know what to do. They're not asking permission. They're not thinking about the squirrel who will be left alone in the back when they have to fly somewhere else. Nobody's doing that. We are the only ones who think, analyze, speculate, and then we get in our own ways of progress and fulfillment. Um, so
I,
yes, so I'm guilty of that. Now, with the other things in my life, I pat myself in the back because indeed, having this overly developed intuition, for lack of better, I don't know, terms, help me, get out of bad relationships or unpleasant jobs or whatever, different challenging, things in life. And then I always landed in a better place, even like with the actress thing. Um, I ended up becoming a wedding officiant, which was very nice and very fulfilling. It's really nice. I'm still speaking in front of people, and I am marrying two people very much in love, and it's really rewarding. And that business really blew up. I created an all-inclusive elopement company in New York City that helped me become, I don't know why I'm shy about it, but I became a millionaire from doing that. And I probably wouldn't have done that if I stayed an actress doing theater in New York City. But having that humbleness and flexibility of saying, okay, I tried enough. I'm turning 30, whatever. I'm like, what am I doing? Let's see. And just when, this, the officiating thing was also kind of like the Edgar Casey thing. It just happened by chance. I discovered this was a job. People did this. I didn't know that was available. And so I began. And I also didn't know how many Spanish people live in New York City, and they're always getting married. They marry a lot. So it was amazing. Um, yeah, and same thing with relationships. I had a different husband at some point. It lasted like 3 years. So people look at me and say, "Oh, that's a failed marriage," and I don't think so. Didn't work out. Sorry. All right, next. Let's keep going. So you stop whatever is not working and you keep moving. And it's not what? Nothing is so terrible if you don't want it to be. If you don't make it tragic, right? So that's another thing that I've learned in my life. Like when I see people's reactions to certain things that I've done or chosen, and I'm like, oh, what's the problem? I don't see it as a big deal, but apparently others do, and so that's the issue, and that's what I want to help future adults avoid
Future.
the
Love
extra
that.
drama, the unnecessary pain that we cause ourselves, right? It's okay.
Cool.
I
I
mean,
think you kind of hammered it earlier with the like with intuition, you listen and you surrender, right? Whereas the analytical mind is all about grasping and controlling. So it's like exact opposite forces. So the very nature of accepting and not creating more of our own inner turmoil feels threatening to an analytical mind that's always in control that needs to surrender. So I don't know the right question because it's like circling around a few, but obviously you deal or you focus a lot with children and their natural intuition. And most of our audience is adults. If there's an adult that's listening who doesn't want to rob their kid of their natural gifts, what wisdom might you share with them about how to kind of create a healthier container at home, even if they might not be able to connect with it themselves as much, how to not decondition their kid?
okay. Good question. So this just happened yesterday, I think. I saw. I'm gonna say something. I know it's hard, so I understand, and it might be controversial. I was with parents and kids. I don't know, we were at a restaurant, I guess. So this father is telling, so the kid is pointing and talking about someone. And the father said, don't point. Understand? I understand the father. Don't point. Don't talk so loud. Don't. So my number one advice would be, don't do that.
Hmm.
I know it's really hard, but as a parent, if you could know and trust that your child will learn whatever they need to learn in their own terms. And I understand, I mean, first of all, you have to think, why are you doing that? Because whoever he's pointing at, another adult, I guess, knows that's a kid, and that's okay. Who cares? The person is not going to take it um, personal, or they shouldn't. And all right, so he's a little misbehaving, perhaps. I don't know. I don't see the need for control and make it. It sounds so small, but those are the kinds of things that start and the later on in life will trigger other self-defeating behavior and self-sabotage and the harsh talks that we have with ourselves. Because as a child, All you know, all you understand when your parents tell you don't is you shut down, you breathe less deeply, and you feel bad about yourself, not knowing why. I mean, the kid didn't ask, why can't I point? I would have if I were him, but he didn't. It's like, oh, okay. And I'm sitting next to them, and of course I didn't say anything because a crazy lady can't tell people how to, you know, raise their kids. And I understand why they do it, but it's the wrong thing to do. Just let them. They want to point, let them point. It's a kid. Who cares? He's talking about the guy. And if the guy has an issue, he can address the issue. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. As a parent, it would be great if you could practice some of this yourself. So one thing you can do is show by example. Just tell your kids that you need some time alone with your thoughts. And if you can create a quiet corner, I'm going to order now one of those, what are they called? The things that look like a tent, like teepee.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna get one of those. Like I was telling you, I'm trying. I want to incorporate some kids in the show. So, and I always recommend parents to have a quiet corner in the house and encourage their kids to go there and have alone time with themselves. And that can look do whatever they want. They can play music, they can play a meditation or not. And the two things that I recommend is never to ask your child how it went, what they did, how they felt. Don't ask them. This is their own private, special time with themselves. And if you want to help them develop this relationship with their selves, with their inner guidance, with their truth, you have to understand that they are wise. They're really big. It's just that now they're small in age, and it seems like they are less than you because you're the adult, but in actuality, they are not. So if you can relate to your child as a full-grown soul that's wise and big, you will have a better time addressing this, understanding this, and connecting with your kid. Because the biggest issue when you're a kid is that you know inside of you, you know who you are. You've probably been here a few times, you had a few lives, you come from the non-physical. um, your soul is big and all-knowing and wise. And now you're in this little body, learning to walk, learning to talk, learning to do things. You have these well-meaning people around you that are always stifling you, because when you're a young child, you're being told no so many times. You're being told how to speak, what to say, how to behave. You had to raise your hand in school when you talk, which, yeah, I don't like that. I don't do that in my class, but when I'm in the schools, the teachers will enforce it for me, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, no, we don't do that. Nobody does that in real life. Why are you making them do it? Let them, and if there's a little chaos, it will subside. And I promise you, this is why I taped a bunch of my classes, because I was telling Alicia before, people don't believe it until they see it. And yeah, you come in as a parent or as an educator with the knowing and the trusting that the person you're speaking to or connecting with or teaching to is a full grown, full form soul, all knowing, then it's easier. Because you're not talking to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old that you had to explain and tell them everything they had to do. You are connecting with their soul. And that makes it easy. And they will connect with you a lot better. Because kids just come to me, and in the beginning, I was like, scratching my head, like, wow, like they don't know me. Like they will come and hug me, and I just think it's because of that. Because I didn't, they picked up on that, right? Again, let's all agree that most of the communication is nonverbal, and we're just communicating energetically with one another. So maybe they just picked up that I get it. This is what we're doing. I get it.
Hmm.
So yeah, so as a parent, if they could do that, just catch themselves every time that they're going to stifle or say something um, that in a young mind can be internalized and perceived as bigger than it is. As a parent, if you could phrase it differently and explain, me as an adult and in this world, I feel that I look bad in front of other people if you gesticulate, if you speak too loudly, or if no, but if imagine if you explain it that way, I feel this
I've
way,
had
this
that
is me,
conversation.
right?
My oldest was 5 years old. We were going to school and she said, "I'm not supposed to be here." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to teach you to be anywhere else. This is the only place I know how to teach you to be." And she said, "Well, why do I have to go to school?" And I said, "Honestly, I don't know. The only reason I know that you have to go to school is because I would go to jail if I don't take you." Because I really don't know. Like, why do we have to send our kids to school? Why is this a law? Why do we have to do that? And I feel bad sometimes because I think that school is part of the problem. It's part of our training to think more with our left brain
Mhm.
than with the right brain. And I think that it's conditioning us to be analytical and intellectual. And I like and appreciate research and things like that and science, like all of it's very interesting to me. But at the same time, we're cutting the programs that help encourage the right side of the brain, which is playground time, art, music. Those things are also equally as important to develop that other part of us. So it is something that I struggle with, but this thing about kids having this inner wisdom, even this past weekend, we had a road trip and my kids were arguing in the car. And I wasn't really listening to what they were saying. I was just hearing the arguing. And so I turned around and I was like, "Stop arguing. You guys are always arguing." And my oldest said to me, "Mommy, we're working it out. And if you would just leave us alone, we would figure it out." And I was like, "Carry on."
That's
Oh, true.
wonderful. I raised my case. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
always true. That's always true. That's always the case. Yeah. Oh, that's cute, but just it's annoying. Yeah. So
It's
that's what I
sure.
would say.
Yeah.
Annoying me so you can work it out. Why?
Yeah.
I love it when they give me those little bits of wisdom,
Ah, that's
though.
amazing. I love that too. So
Yeah.
yes, the parents just pay attention, especially young, like when they're 3. I notice they always say amazing things that parents like just they're blown away by the wisdom. Like, so what do you think? Who do you think is talking right there? Right? What do you think when they say those things that are like, whoa, how does he know? How does
Mhm.
yes, is the inner knowing, is that connection with between our souls. And yeah, so I know well schools, but school is a good place to socialize and make friends,
Yes.
right? Like you said, if we had, so I am from Argentina, and in our schools, there's a lot of stuff that goes on here that we never had because we're poor. So no music training, no, like there's a lot of arts that just doesn't like we don't, I think I don't know how it works here, but every time I used to babysit a lot, and every kid I babysat, they had they play an instrument because I was part of, and they went to public schools, and they had either they play the violin or they play the piano. I don't know how it works, if everybody can buy one or the school gives it to them. I don't know, but I always found that so fascinating because we didn't have access to any of that. So,
Mm.
I mean, if your parents would take you to piano lessons after school, great. If not, forget it. Same thing with painting or drawing or art or one. I used to go to a nun school, a Catholic school. So there was this one nun that had us do sewing, not sewing, but when you like
Cross
the
it.
pretty thing, like
Yeah.
like you
Yes.
have napkins and then you make like a flower. That was so awesome, and I was very good at it. But then I don't know, I think we had her for a year, or whatever, then no more. So yes, arts are so important. Arts,
Mm.
yeah, it's the way. Like I usually, when people ask me because it's hard for them to meditate, I just say sing. Singing is healing and opening. Like as an adult, as a child, whoever, singing. We have so our bodies are designed for us to do well. Our bodies are designed to self-heal and to feel good, and we just have to learn how to use all the instruments that we have. So, walking, I know women like walking or running. I can't run. I don't like running. I don't like sports. I do like singing. I like dancing, but I'm really bad at dance. So that's challenging for me because I used to go one time. I don't know why I'm talking about this. This is, who cares? But I went to a Zumba class. So I went to a Zumba class. I'm in New York City, and usually you just can't. I can't go to a Zumba class. It's embarrassing, and it's just so soul crashing because everybody's so good. But I used to go to this ballet school because I had 10 years of ballet. When you do ballet, you're not very good at many other things. And so the Zumba teacher came, we had a Zumba class. Everybody in the class was other ballet students, so we're usually Asian ladies, like Chinese, Korean, and me. And it was awesome because we were equally awful. Nobody had, like Zumba. Ah, so good. No, because if I go to, places with Latinas or other, just I don't enjoy it because it just because you have mirrors, mirrors, mirrors all over, and you can see yourself being very clumsy. So yeah, dancing is good if you can get out of your head and enjoy it, or singing. Singing is another good thing you can do if you cannot meditate. But I love meditating. I love the talking thing. What do you call it? Guided meditations. I usually get into one and I repeat the same one. Like I used to have this meditation I did from Louise Hay. She had a gratitude meditation that I use in the mornings, morning gratitude. I loved it. My husband laughed. He used to make fun of me, but it worked for me. It was so good. She used to say like to be thankful for everything. And she
Mm.
would mention a lot of things that we have that we take for granted, like electricity,
Yeah.
like, you know, and she would say kings and queens didn't have what we have today. They didn't enjoy the pleasures, they didn't have inner plumbing and blah, blah, blah. And I like it. And my husband always laughs. It's like, oh, thank you, toaster. Thank you, refrigerator. And again, it sounds, kooky or whatever. And yet again, it is so important and is so healing. Gratitude is
When the
huge.
when the power goes out, you'll be grateful for that refrigerator.
Yeah, truly.
We have hurricanes. Well, you may be privy to them now that you're in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when we
yeah.
have a
So,
hurricane and the power goes out, you lose all your food. I remember in 2024 when we had the hurricanes, my neighbors were outside giving meat away because they were like, "We don't have a freezer. We don't know what to do with this meat."
Yeah.
I was like,
right.
"Oh, I'll take some."
Oh, you had electricity. That's
I
good.
did. I don't understand what it is about my street, but my street tends to not lose power. So we were really lucky in
There you
that
go.
way.
All
Yeah.
right. You're attracting this, Alicia. Think,
Ah,
think positive.
I'll take it.
Yes.
I'll take it.
But that's how I try to go through life. Nothing like my parents. I had something happen on Saturday. I was very upset and I didn't want to talk to anybody. So, my parents are calling and whatever. Like, I need some time alone. And well, we're concerned. Answer, we don't know, if something bad happened to you. And I answered back and said, nothing bad ever happens to me. So stop the pretend concern. And I believe that 100%. Like I look at my life, I'm like, even when I did fell and I broke my wrist, that was like the worst thing that ever happened. It was very upsetting, especially when you're accustomed to everything working out for you. It's not nice when things, but even that was just, it was not a big deal.
You have
Everything
to
went
have some
smoothly.
human experience, right? Like
Yes, no, I know we
it's
do. I
got to
do,
sneak
of
in there.
course. I'm saying it's really
Oh.
more about the mindset, right? I was thinking before we met today, I was just, I don't know why, I was going through my journey and my life. And when I first came to the States, I came with a contract to work as a living nanny. And I work Monday through Fridays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. straight, like nonstop. It was real work because they had a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. So the 3-year-old didn't go to school and I had to clean and make her food. I was working nonstop. And I got paid $170 a week. I was live in. Now, I never view this from a victim point of view or like, but never. I thought it was fantastic. I like the family, I like the kids. It was work. I was young, so a lot of work, no big deal. Yeah, but they had like 3 floors, so I was coming up and that, but that's okay. I'm getting exercise. It didn't even it didn't even faze me until then. I had an aunt. So I was with one family for a year, then I moved to another family. In the first family, I lived in the attic. The second family had me in the basement. And this woman came to visit, and she's in tears. She's all broken up. Oh, Veronica, how can you be here? How can you live like in this place? Oh, you, like so dramatic. And I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about. Like, I knew, like in my heart, I knew this is the beginning. I mean, I just arrived, right? I'm sure my English was a lot worse at the time. I'm sure. And I lived it with joy. I don't recall feeling ever in my life that I was wronged in any way or I was a victim of something or someone. But that's me and that's my mindset. Like, all right, let's keep, and as I told you before, I had bad relationships, I had bad jobs, I had bad bosses. It's, all of it. But it is the way you look at things that will inform what happens next. And
Mhm.
this is why I'm very passionate about this work, because if we don't help our kids develop that mindset of I can and I got it and everything works out for me, especially when they're young. And I know, and one of the things adults tend to do is to bring them down, right? Oh, you don't want your kid to be too confident. Sounds crazy, but it's true. Some parents are like, oh, um, yeah, you're doing them a disservice if you did that, because life will show them. You don't need to inform your kids of their limitations. Don't
Mm.
do that. It's stupid. Stupid. And yeah, this is coming from someone who had that done to her my entire life. My mother, trying to be a good mother. One thing, maybe I was about 8, I was informed I was of a lesser race. The Anglo-Saxon race is superior, and then there's us. Just so I know, as information, just so we know where we are in the world. They are here, you are here. All right. Then I was probably about 12 years old, and my mom tells me, well, Veronica, you're not pretty. You're not pretty. You're normal looking. You're common. Your looks are normal, which is true in Argentina. Everybody looks like me. Everybody's olive skin, brown hair. So what I did, I'm like, all right, I guess she's right. I'm looking at I had and I have bony face, kind of a long face. Not usually kids are nicer when they're round face. Anyway, so I believed her. And so what I did, I moved. When I turned 20, I moved to the US. When I got to New York, all of a sudden I'm popular. People like me. I was good looking. I was just happier than a pig in shit. I was really, it was fantastic. I like, okay, this is my place. This is it. Now here I'm people notice me. Oh, very good. Uh so Yeah, don't do that. Don't stifle your kids in any way. You don't need to. In my case, I guess everything works out, right? Like I said, I made that decision when I was 7. Everything will work out one way or the other if I can get out of my own way. Um, yeah, because what else I was gonna do? Stay home and get a nose job and try to change my appearance to be prettier? No, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah,
No.
it's Gabor Mate has a similar message in his book, The Myth of Normal, and how like we have to choose as like parents what environment we want to create for our kids. And a lot of times parents feel the responsibility to shape the kids to understand how the world works, not realizing the world will tell the kids how the world works. If you can create a safe space of belonging where they can always feel like they belong here, they are seen here, they are witnessed here, they will bring the hardships that life teaches them home to a safe space of belonging where they can kind of digest and metabolize it with someone versus trying to process what that is and understand what that is in an undeveloped mind. And I really liked that notion because you mentioned earlier about being a guide and the wisdom that kids carry. And it's very common parental thing of like every kid is different. So like, okay, this is what I did with kid one, but like that's not working with kid two, and now I don't know what to do with kid two. And it's like each kid has their own kind of wisdom, and it's almost like you are a collaborator with them in their inner wisdom to understand how to empower and ignite them to, satisfy their gifts and their soul's purpose. But it's funny that we're talking about it from a kid stance, given that our audience is much more adult, because what jumps out to me is like the hardest thing for adults is to not let their conditioning condition the kids, and being able to witness those moments where you feel like you need to say don't do that or stop arguing, which is like you're gonna do it. There's kids are beautiful and just way too overstimulating for any parent to never let their conditioning come out. So it's like, how do they repair if they say don't point there? And they realize later, like, how do they repair to kind of soothe that wound and remind their kid that their wisdom is valued?
Right. Well, this is why we do this. That's exactly my point. Thank you. That's going to happen. What you just said, that's of course. You're a kid, you're going to be told no by several people all the time. Your teachers, the principal, your classmates, your parents, babysitters, whatever. People are going to be stifling you. That's going to happen. So now that we know that this happens, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. That's even the more reason for you as an adult to understand that helping them go within once a day, having this ritual, teach them, like I'm trying to teach them to, I say in the morning while we're brushing our teeth, I say it's as important, this is mental hygiene, and it's as important as brushing your teeth. Just as you teach your children to take a shower, wash their hands, you should teach them to take a moment to go within and connect with the biggest, bestest, better part of themselves. And as they go within, the wisdom shows up for them. Once again, you don't have to explain, you don't have to convince you are worthy, you're okay. You don't, because your soul will inform you of that. Your soul will show up and will tell you. So all you really have to do as a child is know and trust that there's this place. You're amazing inside. Again, I mean, we can only teach from our own experience, right? And that's what worked for me. And when I was little and I was growing up, that's what kept me hopeful and positive and all of those things. Because I was also being told no, I was told I was mean. I don't understand why kids like you. You're not nice. Because I was very impatient and cranky. I was. And so I had that label of like, oh, Veronica should be like this, should be like that. It's inevitable, right? Because my mom and I, we have very, very different personalities. And that's a tough one as a parent. And now we live it So my sister has a kid, and it's just hard to understand her. She's so different from us
Mm.
and from me. And it's, it's a new generation. She's 20 now. It's just, it's hard. As an adult, it's you want to connect. You kind of want your kids to be like you and or at least understand them. And when that's hard, okay, it's hard. So no one trusts that they got this. They understand you and they know where you're coming from, and it's not going to be so traumatic. Again, it happens to everybody. And as long as they are given that opportunity to go within and to breathe, then the inner guidance will do all the work. You don't have to. You can't anyway. You cannot convince someone that they are great. Look at Robin Williams, right? He was
Yeah.
beloved by everybody, super famous, super rich, super successful, nice family, blah, blah, blah. And evidently, inside, he didn't feel those things. So,
Right.
no, it's just going within is the only way. Learning to go within and trust yourself and love yourself. Self-love, self-confidence that comes from within. And unfortunately, when you see a grown-up that has that and operates from there, they're usually labeled in a negative way. And we see this all the time. Usually they're men, and usually, they're big, big billionaires. But I feel for that. Honestly, like I look and it just pick any one guy that pops into your head and you hate them and you think, I I admire them. I'm like, well, they had the wisdom and the vision and they were able to follow through and have yeah, and have I saw, I don't know if you saw the movie, the Facebook movie, what's it called? Social Network.
Hmm.
Did you ever see that? I like that movie. I saw it a couple of times. And of course, in the movie, I think they're doing a good job. And he comes across as a bit of a jerk. And, he maneuvered things like this to just do what he wanted to do. And he kept the other people out. Not very nice.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I get it. I understand. I can feel what he felt when this whole thing was unfolding, right? And I can feel they show, his beginnings and where he came from, and he wasn't wealthy, and how he felt about the other people that had advantages. And he just had tunnel vision, and he was very focused, and he went for it. And of course, then he's being criticized, but who can do what he did? Can I? No, that's what it takes, right? And I'm not saying you have to step on anybody. The stepping on people maybe comes from no, maybe definitely came from insecurity, which they show in the movie. That's why I love that movie, because it just shows everything so well, so clearly, how he felt small and he felt less than, and that also fueled everything he did. But again, if we can grow up with more self-love, more self-acceptance, less of the need to prove ourselves and, cut corners or undercut someone else, because you don't have to. If you
Yeah.
know and trust that you are amazing and huge just the way you are, and you're going to get what you deserve, and you know that you deserve awesomeness and you deserve greatness with ease, then I think the entire world would be very different, a lot nicer to each other.
Yeah, I
For
agree.
sure.
So we only have a couple minutes left. Where would people find you and what you do? Where would people send their kids if they wanted to?
Yes, yes, and I'm in Florida. I'm near Orlando, and I'm including kids in the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is YouTube at Veronica Moya, or if you look up Mindful V is the name of the channel. And then my website is veronicamoya.com. So it's Veronica Moya, Moya.com. And I have a few programs that they are digital, so you can buy it and download it. I have um, meditations, guided meditations for kids, and then I have it's called Bully Proof. It's a series of 5 videos that are great. I like to teach kids about bullying from both sides, the bully and the bullied. So whether you're accused of being a bully, you can buy the course, or vice versa if you feel that you're being mistreated. Also, because I help both sides. And yeah, veronicamoya.com. And I always welcome comments and suggestions. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
I'm I was telling her before this that I'm about to go to the Psy Games again next week, and this time the kids are coming. And
Ah,
my oldest asked me, "What are we doing for your birthday?" And I was like, "Oh, this is what we're doing." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm not interested in that at all."
I love
And I
a blunt
believe her. I
rebel.
believe that she's not interested at all, but I'm hoping that she's going to have fun with it, because I'm sure that with your work as well, you make it fun. And the
yeah.
kids really get into it. Like I remember the first time I did meditation, it was in sixth grade. We had the teacher for the behavioral troubled kids. She came in and she did this meditation with us, and we imagined a balloon, and then we filled the balloon with all of our problems, and then we let the balloon go. And I loved it. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So, and my kids love yoga and things like that. So I'm like, oh, we already do meditations. They love meditation. So I feel like they just need to experience this, like you were saying, and then they'll kind of have a little bit of a mindset shift.
That's okay. Yeah. No, don't worry about it. They're going, they're going
Yeah,
to do it. It's fine. They can bring a book if they don't, right?
true.
That's what I say. When they don't, if they don't want to do it, I never fight anyone who doesn't want to do it. That's fine. You cannot bully someone into enlightenment and
Mm.
everything doesn't, and it doesn't matter, even if they didn't get into it this time, they're exposed to it. And that's all you can do. And that's amazing. That's huge. So the same goes, for the parents. Just expose them to it. Tell them, here, this is your quiet corner. Dress it up, put a cushion, do something. If you want to, you can go there. I had my quiet corner. I made it myself when I was little. I was 6, or yeah, 6. In the bathroom, because we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. My sister and I slept in the living room. So there was no place in the house that I could
Mm.
be alone. The
Mm.
only place where I can close the door was the bathroom. And so I did that. And I would just sit in the toilet, close the toilet and sit and do my thing. When I was little, nobody taught it to me. But I'm saying, if I did that, I go by the premise that a lot of kids are doing the same thing. They're finding their own quiet place. They don't tell you about it. I never told my parents. They don't share. This is their thing. So if that's true, then now you as a parent, that you can just let them know that that's for you. And I will not ask, and it's none of my business,
Yeah.
but it's for you.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you for joining us today to share a little tidbit with us.
Thank you, Alicia and Laura. Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you online.